Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the First News newspaper. Flood. Fear grips Nigerians as Cameroon finally opens Lagdo Dam. And the writer here says, federal government confirms release of water Monday night, warns impact will manifest in 7 days' time. You find all the details on the front page of the First News newspaper. To the blueprints now, Tinubu's tall order to ministers. Fetch water from dry well creates buoyant economy. Tinubu's tall order to ministers. Fetch water from dry well creates buoyant economy. And some writers here says expectations high, underperform rather, and be fired. Bring Abuja Metro Line to reality. I want to ride, President tells Wike. That's the Minister of the FCT. All right, to the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. Tinubu orders ministers to revive economy in 3 years, inaugurates the Federal Executive Council. Tinubu orders ministers to revive economy in 3 years, inaugurates the Federal Executive Council. All the details on the front page of Nigerian News Direct. To the front page of this day newspaper, still talking about the maiden Federal Executive Council meeting. Tinubu charges ministers to revive nation's ailing economy. At maiden Federal Executive Council meeting, Tinubu charges ministers to revive nation's ailing economy. All the details on the front page of this day newspaper. To the Punch newspaper, still towing the same line of the Federal Executive Council meeting. FEC unfolds 3-year economic revival plan, Tinubu warns ministers. FEC unfolds 3-year economic revival plan, Tinubu warns ministers. Ibrahim?
Right. Daily Trust is what I have with me here first. President Tinubu unveils 8-point agenda, warns ministers against underperformance. President Tinubu unveils 8-point agenda, warns ministers against underperformance. That's Daily Trust. Daily Sun is next. President Tinubu reads Riot Act to ministers. It says again, I'll not spare incompetent officials, vows President. Nigeria grinding to a halt. That's President Tinubu reading Riot Act to ministers. The Daily Times, leadership is next. I won't tolerate underperformance. Tinubu warns ministers, outlines 8 priority areas to revive ailing economy. The Daily Times is next. Show of shame in Benin City. Deputy Governor, Governor's security in public hot exchange of words. Show of shame in Benin City, that's a kicker. And then the headline reads, Deputy Governor, Governor's security in public hot exchange of words. Unwieldy, Guardian newspaper is next. Unwieldy appointments of SSAs, SAs, PAs deplete lean resources in poor states. Unwieldy appointments of SSAs, SAs, PAs deplete lean resources in poor states. Daily Independent has it as its headline. Tinubu sets his sight on tackling inflation, FX volatility, gives ministers targets to revive economy, prosper Nigerians, which Nigerians can't really wait for. Tinubu sets his sight on tackling inflation, FX volatility, gives ministers targets to revive economy and prosper Nigerians. The Nation newspaper is next. President Tinubu targets economic revival, 50 million jobs in 3 years. President Tinubu targets economic revival, 50 million jobs in 3 years. This Nigeria is next. Federal government promises to end borrowings, targets 50 million jobs. Federal government promises to end borrowings, targets 50 million jobs. Business Day is last year with me. Foreign inflow into stocks falls to pre-Tinubu levels. More equities offloaded by foreign investors. Foreign inflow into stocks falls to pre-Tinubu levels. And the rider reads, more equities offloaded by foreign investors. That's all I have with me here.
All right, let's look at the story on a majority of the papers this morning, talking about the maiden Federal Executive Council meeting that held yesterday. And the president was reading the Riot Act to the ministers. He made them understand that their daily action would matter to Nigerians, especially the result they would achieve at the end of the day, because the hope of 200 million Nigerians rests on their daily action and in their hands, so to speak. He also went ahead to say that they shouldn't focus on their title or portfolios, but focus on the task before them. And then in the process, he said that anyone who underperforms would be shown the door. Obviously saying it is not business as usual, and that anyone who thinks that this job is seemingly a permanent one should have a rethink or is mistaken. So they have a responsibility to deliver, obviously giving them their KPAs and KPIs as it is. And then the Minister for Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy came up with eight priority areas where they were going to target for the next 3 years. And some of them are economic growth, healthcare, fighting corruption, food security, ending poverty, job creation, looking at 50 million jobs in 3 years, and also looking at harnessing human capital of the youthful population. Quite interesting areas that they are looking at to addressing some of the key issues that has to do with the economy. Recall that just yesterday we're talking about how the president has said that they are not going to look at borrowing because we are already using 90% of our resources to repay our debts. So the job is already cut out for the ministers. How we will harness, look at homegrown solutions to addressing some of these issues, harnessing what we already have on the ground to addressing our economic challenge. It will be good to see how it is that these ministers will ride on what the president has said to achieving the desired result.
So much has been said, before prior to the election of the 2023 election that produced this, current administration. A lot of expectations, even though some people are still bent on, they're still living in the past, that it's a stolen mandate, so to speak. But then, even though that has been tested in court, but then I saw a breath of fresh air yesterday when I witnessed the Federal Executive Council meeting, on TV. Not that I was there. So the president reading Riot Act to the ministers that it is not going to tolerate mediocrity. He's not going to tolerate underperformance, and that's a good one. It's good that we have people, members of the cabinet who are being, touted as people with intellects. They're technocrats. They've done so many things before in the previous times, and now they have a chance to prove whatever they've done on a small level on a larger scale. So if the president is giving them that Riot Act, I believe that they already have their own plans worked out. The fact that we have 8-point agenda, and Nigerians are not, they are not going to, they are going to be, there will be a Tinubu meter, Tinubunomics. What are the things that he has done from now to this end? Okay, is it 6 months? Is it 2 years? They said that 50 million jobs will be created in 3 years. I want to believe that they are doing so much to ensure that this is achieved, because the Minister of Trade and Investment also made us understand that there are investors who are already, showing interest in investing and creating jobs for a whole lot of people. We have the Ministry of Digital Economy. I saw Honorable Boson Tijani's Twitter yesterday saying that he had different, feel of what governance looks like. And we know that digital economy is one sector where the youth can be meaningfully engaged, tapping from that industry. We have the creative industry. We also have, they should also think of how do we work with the National Assembly, because if they have all of these plans, well thought out, if the National Assembly doesn't work with them in pruning down the cost of governance, the cost of governance, then there might be a problem. If there are budgets also worked on, the appropriation is also worked on, and it's been padded, or there's no easy conversation between the National Assembly and the ministers and the executive, it might also affect the deliverables that this current administration is promising. Recall that the president also said that whoever is not among the delegations to the United Nations General Assembly should not be issued visa, because it's also ways of cutting down the cost of governance. And the fact that they also say they are not going a borrowing, again, is a good one, since subsidy has been removed, so there is no need to borrow. So how they will generate lots and lots of revenues and channel this towards the betterment of the generality is what Nigerians are waiting to see, anxiously and impatiently.
Absolutely. Now, speaking about the jobs, I like that we have a target of 50 million jobs in 3 years. Break it down. How are you going to achieve this sector-wise, so that we can have targets? You can point at certain persons who are not delivering, because there's a question of how do you measure underperformance.
That's right.
So there has to be some measurements. If you do not break it down, how do you measure? So it's not just having a huge figure of saying 3 years we are looking at 50 million jobs. How do you intend to achieve that? Tell Nigerians, because we have heard this over the years, over time, where we've seen, we'll create 100 million jobs, we'll create this, we'll create that. But because it was not broken down as to sector-wise, and then how you intend to do that, be it on a daily basis, be it on a weekly, monthly basis.
Short-term, long-term plans.
Short-term, long-term plans of how you intend to create these jobs, and who are those that can benefit from it, breaking it down to the barest minimum such that you know that you can measure. You can measure performance at the end of the day is critical. This will help us move forward. What is underperformance? It's a KPI issue as it is. If you are not doing this within the next how many days, then you have underperformed. Yeah. These are the issues that Nigerians will want to see. Yes, it is good to read the Act. I appreciate that fact. I'm telling you, because it's like I'm hearing this for the first time. But how do you achieve all of these things? Key performance actions. What do you expect from this person in the next 3 to 6 months? That you can say, I am measuring you based on this, and it is based on this that I'm saying you have underperformed or you have performed. That will help the ministers achieve their results. We have had areas now, economic growth, you're looking at healthcare. How do you intend to achieve this? We're looking at ending poverty. 133 million Nigerians are under multidimensional poverty. What are you looking at doing? How do you intend to break it down to ensure that, yes, this is how we intend to end poverty? It is made clear to Nigerians, and Nigerians can measure you, follow you, alongside what you are doing. Then we can hold you to account if you do not measure up to what you said. Don't just give us a blanket statement, give us specifics. So
we want to believe that because before they had this Federal Executive Council meeting, there is this belief that the president, their portfolios will be worked on and they will be given to them, even though some ministers have not exactly found where they will be operating from. For instance, there are some ministries, newly created ministries, will still have to maintain the current infrastructure that they had for the old ministry. So you'll be having like 2 ministers working together, using almost the same, staff members.
But so that's what they were told. There's a need to work together.
Yeah, really. But there has to be, clear cuts, because some permanent secretaries and some directors are not exactly sure who to report to directly. So I believe that in the coming days, this will be spelled out, because if we are looking forward to them delivering on the dividends of democracy, and then the fact that we've given them the mandate to help take Nigeria from the doldrums to that El Dorado that Nigerians are looking forward to. The president also said, remember in the NBA the speech that he made just yesterday or 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Right.
Friday.
On Friday. So what he said, that 90% of revenue generated, used for servicing loan, and this might also spill up to 100. So the fact that they have recognized all of the problems, from the previous administrations, and they're looking forward to charting the way forward. He said it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy.
Of course, they have their jobs covered for them.
Exactly.
They have their jobs.
So,
that's why they must make their processes as transparent as possible, engage Nigerians.
Oftentimes.
Oh, yes. Let's know what it is, the challenges, the successes, and then we can support you in whichever way it is. Nigerians are very easygoing people, as it is. And what they are demanding is not much. Just make your processes transparent, break down what it is you want to do and how you intend to achieve it. Then we can hold you to account or support you where necessary. We can only wish them all the best as they carry out their duties, and Nigerians look forward to a better Nigeria.